Hey there, hope you're having a wonderful day. So in the previous videos, we implemented items. So when you destroy a Matal enemy, there's a chance that the Matal will drop an item. And we also added traps and hazards. So in the Mega Man games, there are spikes that can damage the player. So we've added spikes in our Mega Man game. So just to show you what we have so far, I'm going to save and run the program. Alright, so here you can see we have 3 spikes on the left side. And if Mega Man destroys the Matal enemies, we have an item drop, and Mega Man can collide with this item, which is a healing item, and you can see Mega Man's health bar recovers some points. Okay? So far, the only enemies we have are the Matals, and they can fire bullets and they can defend, but they cannot move. They are stationary enemies. Now in many video games, enemies or monsters actually do move around, so we're going to implement a new monster enemy for this game. And in the English version, the monster is called Blader. So it's this helicopter looking monster that can fly around. And since this monster flies around, we are not going to apply gravity to the monster. And we are not going to check for collisions with the tiles. If you want to create an enemy that will walk around, then you would have to apply gravity and check for Y collision for the tiles. Okay? So let's implement this flying helicopter monster. So adding this monster shouldn't be too difficult, and that is because we just need to repeat everything we did for the Matals. So the first thing we need to do is load the images, and for that we need to define a width and height. So over here I'm going to add Blader width, and I'm going to make it 32 pixels. Blader height is going to be 40 pixels. So if you hover over the image, you can see it's 160 by 200. Basically, I just took these numbers and divided by 5 to scale it down to match the rest of the assets in our game. And we have Blader facing left and Blader facing right. Okay? So this helicopter monster can fly up and down and left and right. So I'm going to add Blader velocity X, and this is going to be 4. And Blader velocity Y, and this will be 2. So currently velocity X is positive and velocity Y is also positive. If the velocity X is positive, it is going to the right, and if the velocity Y is positive, it is going down. Now in our game, we're going to make it so that the Blader will have a limited range of where it can move, and if it hits that limit, it's going to reverse course. So if it goes to the right and it hits the limit, it'll turn around and go left. And likewise, if it goes down and hits a limit, it'll turn around and go back up, okay? Alright, so now that we have these variables, let's load the images. So over here, I'm going to add Blader image left, and this is load image, Blader dash left dot png, and the width and height will be Blader width and Blader height. And I'm just going to copy and paste this. And over here, I'm just going to change this to right. And actually, I think I put right before left. For example, over here, I have right before left, right before left. So just to keep my code consistent, I'm going to make the bottom one left and the top one will be right. And for the image name, this will be Blader dash right. Alright, so we have the images loaded. Now we need to create the instances of Blader. And just like with the Matals, items, bullets, tiles, we can have multiple Blader enemies in our game. So I'm going to store all of them in a list. So let's scroll down. Alright, so over here, I will just create a new list, Bladers. And now we need to create a class to represent the Blader. So let's scroll all the way up where our classes are. And here we have our Matal class. So I'm going to create this Blader class below the Matal class over here. So I'm going to do class Blader, and we're going to inherit from Pygame.rect. Let's create a constructor. And we'll pass in an X and Y position. We don't need to pass in an image because there's only one unique image for the Blader. Now let's invoke the constructor of the rectangle class. So I'll do pygame.rect underscore init double underscore, and we'll pass in self X position, Y position, and the width and height will be Blader width and Blader height. Now we need to assign Blader an image, so we'll do self.image, And by default, I'll have blader face right, and that is because blader is moving to the right side initially since velocity x is positive. So here I'll do blader image right. And then I'll set self.direction to be right. And I'm going to make it a little more difficult for the player, so I'm going to set self.health of the blader to 3. So unlike with the Matals that only need 1 bullet to be destroyed, Mega Man will need to fire 3 bullets at blader to destroy it. And of course, we need to add velocity x and velocity y. So this will be blader velocity x, and self.velocity y is going to be blader velocity y. Alright, now the next thing we need to do is actually create an instance of the blader. So I'm going to go to my create map function, and over here we've created multiple tiles and we've created spikes and Matals. In this case, I'm just going to add 1 blader. So here I'll do bladers.append blader, and the x position I'll just make it tile size times 5 and tile size times 5. So it'll be 5 tiles to the right and 5 tiles down from the top left corner of our game window. Alright, so we've created a class, we've created a list, and we've added an instance of blader to the list. Now we need to move the blader and draw the blader. So let's go to our move function. And inside our move function, I'm just going to scroll down, and I think I'll just place the blader right here. So we're going to add another for loop in between the for loop for Matals and the for loop for items. So here I'll do for blader in bladers blader.x plus equal blader.velocity x and blader.y plus equal blader.velocity y. And since this is an enemy that can fly, we're not going to apply gravity to the blader. So we're going to move the blader with the velocity x and y, and since both are positive, it's going right and down, so it's going to go diagonally to the right and downwards, okay? Now finally, we need to draw the blader. So let's go to our draw function, and likewise, I'll sandwich the for loop in between the Matals and items. So for blader in bladers, window.blit, blader.image, and blader. Alright, so we have all we need to create a blader and draw it in our game. So let's go ahead and save and run the program. Alright, so you can see the blader is moving to the right, and the blader started over here, and the blader moved to the right and down. So it was moving diagonally like this. Now we need to control how the blader moves, because currently it's just going to the right and down forever. So what we need to do is keep track of a starting X and Y position. So when we assign the X and Y position, we'll also make a copy and store it in 2 different fields called start X and start Y. So this is going to be its origin point. Now throughout the game, the blader is going to move with the velocity X and Y. So the X and Y will always be changing. So for that reason, we are going to keep a record of the starting X and Y. Okay, so the origin point. Now we're also going to add 2 more fields, max X and max Y. And these represent how far from the origin point the blader can go. So we're going to add a max X of 4 times tile size and a max Y of 1 times tile size. So the idea here is, in the beginning, this blader is going to go right and down, but as it goes to the right, once it goes off 4 times tile size away from the starting X position, it's going to turn around and go in the negative X direction. So it's going to go left. And likewise, if the blader goes down and eventually it reaches the max Y range, which is 1 tile size away from its starting Y position, it's going to turn around. So it's going to go down and then it's going to hit this limit and then go up. Okay, so let's go back to our blader class, and over here I'm going to add self.start X, and this is going to be the same as X, self.start Y, and this is going to be the same as Y. And now we need to add 2 more fields. So self.max range of X, this is going to be tile size times 4, and self.max range of Y, this will be tile size. So we're going to make it so that at most the blader can only go 4 tile sizes away from its starting X position and 1 tile size away from its starting Y position. So let's apply this change to our blader in the move function. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of this, and here we're going to make a check. If the absolute value of blader.x plus blader.velocityx minus blader.start_x. So blader.x is its current position and blader.velocityx is the change in position in the x direction. So blader is going to constantly move to the left or right. So we're going to take this, which is its updated x position, and subtract it from its starting x position. So if the difference between the blader's updated x position and its starting x position is greater than or equal to blader.max range x, then we're going to reverse course. So blader.velocityx times equal -1. So we just need to flip the sign. So if it's going to the right, it's positive. If it's going to the left, it's negative. So it's just going back and forth. Else, if we do not hit this range, then the blader can just keep on going. So blader.x plus equal blader.velocityx. Alright, let's save and run the program. And you can see this blader is going back and forth, left and right. Now let's do the same for the y position. So the y position is going to be exactly the same code as this, except we're just changing x to y. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. And we're going to change this x to a y, blader velocity x to blader velocity y, blader start x to blader start y, and blader max range x to blader max range y. Blader.velocity x times equal -1, we're going to change this to y. Blader.x position, we're going to change this to y position. And blader.velocity x to blader.velocity y. So make sure you change all the variables correctly. Otherwise, you'll get a bug, okay? So this top part should be the x direction, and the bottom should be y direction, okay? So just make sure that you made the changes correctly. Alright, so let's save and run the program and see what we have. Alright, so here you can see, this blader is moving up and down and left and right. So it's going diagonally this entire time, okay? And it's basically forming the shape of the infinity symbol, or a sideways 8. So it's going like this, okay? And if I comment this part out, then the blader is just going to go up and down. So let me show you how that looks. And here you can see the blader is going up and down only. And as I mentioned before, if you want to have a monster that's walking around on the ground, then you will need to apply gravity and check for the Y collision with the tiles. So you would have to add this bit to the monster. Alright, so I'm going to uncomment this out. So we have the blader moving up and down, left and right. Next thing we need to do is check for collision detection. So here I would do if not player dot invincible and player dot collide rect with the blader. I'm going to do player dot health minus equal 1 and player dot set invincible. Okay, so let's save and run the program. And here you can see we have the blader moving up and down, left and right. So now I'm going to try to collide with the blader. Okay, and you can see we are taking damage. Now currently we are only using this sprite image, so blader is always facing right. So we need to update our code so that we update the image and make blader use the blader left image when it is moving to the left, okay? So just like with the player and the metals, I'm going to add an update image function. So let's scroll up, and for our blader, I'm going to add update image. And here we'll just do if self.direction is equal to right, self.image is going to be blader image right. Elif self.direction is equal to left, self.image will be blader image left. Okay? So we need to call the update image method for blader, but before we do that, we need to make sure that the direction field actually changes, because currently right now it is always right. So let's go back down to our move function, And inside this if condition statement, where we update velocity x to be positive or negative, I'm going to add a check. So after we update the velocity x, we need to update the direction that the blader is facing in. So here I'll do if blader dot velocity x is less than 0. This means that it is negative, so blader dot direction is going to be left. If blader dot velocity x is greater than 0, then it is going in the positive x direction, so blader dot direction is going to be right. All right, so we update the direction based on the velocity x, and then now we need to call the update image function. So let's go to our draw function, and over here, just like with the metals and the player, I'm going to do blader dot update image. All right, let's save and run the program. All right, so here you can see the sprite is changing for the blader. So when it is moving to the right, the eyes face right, and when it is moving to the left, the eyes change to face left. Now the next thing we need to do is add collision detection with the bullets. Okay, so when Mega Man fires bullets at the blader, it will deduct 1 health point from the blader. So let's scroll up to our move function. So here we are going through all the bullets in player.bullets. And you can see we already have a check for the metals. We're just going to do the same exact thing for the blader. So here I'll do for blader in bladers, if blader.health is greater than 0 and not bullet.used, and bullet.collide rect with the blader, we're going to make the bullet used. And unlike with the metals, the blader cannot guard, so we're just going to directly make the blader take damage. So blader.health minus equal 1. And of course, just like with the metals, the blader can drop items. So here I'll make a check. If blader.health is less than or equal to 0, meaning it is destroyed, then we'll do drop item of blader. Okay, and then finally we need to do the cleanup step. So over here we'll do bladers, blader for blader in bladers if blader.health is greater than 0. And since we are doing an assignment here on a global variable, we need to declare the variable as global. So here I'll add bladers. All right, so let's save and run the program. And here I'll just destroy the metals. Okay, so now we need to fire 3 bullets at the blader to destroy it. And here you can see an item was dropped from the blader after we destroyed it. And we can take it and heal up, okay? So that's how you can create a moving, flying enemy in your video game. And in the next video, we're going to expand the map by implementing scrolling. So currently, we have a fixed screen. So Mega Man can go to the right, and then left and touch the spikes, but Mega Man cannot go past this box, okay? So that's it for this video. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, make sure you give this video a like. If you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments, and as always, if you want to stay up to date for more Python game programming tutorials like this one, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.